far as the commissioners are concerned, we have Commissioner or Chair Reed Ryan absent, and we have Jack Mangum absent, as well as Rachel Sprossi Burns. But we do have a quorum, so we'll continue with the meeting. And then time has been set aside for public input for anybody from the public who'd like to express or make some comments for anything that's not on the agenda. So this is your time to do so. For anyone who would like to make comments, please limit them to 3 minutes if you can. Okay, since there isn't anybody here who wants to make comment, we'll close the public input and we'll begin with our business items. Business item on the agenda number 1, Fox Hollow Neighborhood 4 PUD concept plan located in Village Parkway and Redwood Road. Jaron Nichols, GMOLB Company as applicant.
There we go. Okay, so Fox Hollow Neighborhood 4. So this is kind of a unique thing. It's actually a concept plan. Most concept plans don't typically come to the Planning Commission. But the reason why this one is coming is because it's located in the PUD overlay. So you can see here on the zoning map, this is the R110 zone. That's the yellow area, but those stripes indicate that it's also in the PUD, planned unit development. So when Fox Hollow was first developed, it was done as a PUD. This was a number of years ago. This is one of the remaining undeveloped parcels that is still within that area, and it still falls under the PUD. So we don't actually do PUDs anymore in the city. It's kind of a relic from earlier in the city, but this still falls within that area. But what does that mean? What is a PUD? PUD is basically just means that what the city allows a developer to kind of consolidate and cluster their development so that we can save open space or things like that. And so hence normally you'll see kind of lots that are a little bit narrower, a little bit smaller, and those are it's kind of an exception that they're given because they're in that PUD. And so what they're proposing here is this is their concept plan. So you can see it's a mixture of single-family homes, which would be the yellow, and then there's some kind of townhomes that's in the light blue there at the bottom of the screen. So north is on the right-hand side, just to kind of orient yourself on this map here. And then Redwood Road is down at the bottom of the screen there. And then that white area is a future commercial piece that's to be developed in a later phase by a different developer. But one of the requirements that we do have is that they have to connect to adjacent properties. So you do see a road connection going into the commercial property to the east. And then you see there's an open space with amenities in the middle here. And then access would be off of Wildlife Boulevard and Village Parkway to the north. So this is also has several development agreements that identify what they can and cannot do. And so when they created the PUD back in the day, there were some conditions, and it's been amended several times, 5 or 6 times since then. One of the things is that this property, they are allowed to do up to 136 townhomes. And so that's what they're showing here. They're actually showing less density than would be, they actually have a greater density allowed than what they're showing here on this plan. And so one of the exceptions is they are asking for narrower lots, and then, which again, like I said, is pretty normal. That's a normal thing that you do. And then also smaller lot sizes that we wouldn't typically see in the R110 zone. So moving on, they do have a request that they would like to ask the city council to look at, and that is for flat roofs. So you can see here they have 2 options. that they've prepared. There's a sloped roof, and then there's a flat roof option. But this area kind of is up on the hill, and would have views of the lake. And so they thought, maybe it would be a good idea to have these flat roofs. They do have kind of like a living space on top, like a rooftop terrace. So there would be kind of like a, outdoor living space up there. And so that's one of the things that they're asking for, and that the Planning Commission should make a recommendation on tonight, is whether to do flat roofs or sloped roofs. And so this visual kind of gives you an idea of the difference between the two. You can see the elevations for the flat roofs here. By doing the flat roofs, the height is measured differently. So when we do a sloped roof, we measure it to the midpoint of the roof. And then when we do a flat roof, we actually measure height all the way to the very top of the building. And so if they are approved if they are granted the flat roof, they would need a height exception as well. So our standard height in this zone is 35 feet. They would be asking for 41 feet, 4 inches if the recommendation is to go with the flat roof. If not, they can do, if we decide not to do the flat roof, then they can do the sloped roof, and it does meet the height requirement, which it comes in at 34 feet, 6 inches. And again, our height requirement being 35. So you can see that. The developer has provided these images, these height comparison diagrams. So on the left there, you can see the sloped roof option. On the right, you can see the flat roof option. On the left-hand diagram, if you see that red line there, that's showing where the 35-foot max height line would fall on there. And then on the right, you can see that red line on the right-hand side is again showing that same 35-foot max height. But you can see that the middle of the building, kind of where you would exit or enter from the rooftop, that's would be the highest part of the building. So it's kind of in the middle of the building. And the way that the buildings are built, they would be, you'd have part of the building kind of up on a higher grade and part of it down on a lower grade. They're not connected from the front to the back. So each on one side is a separate unit, and then on the other side is a different unit, to kind of clarify that. They've also provided this. This was in your packet. There's a more technical drawing of what they're wanting to do. And you can see that red triangle there that shows how they would not, that would be an area that would be outside of what we allow. So let me go to this slide here. So these are so they're asking for two things tonight. One, a recommendation on the overall concept plan, the layout of that. It does meet it meets our code, but the three things that don't meet our code would be variations that can be granted through the PUD. And so the main variations that they're asking for is A here, lot width and lot size. So the lot width would be going from the standard of 70 feet to 40 feet. And then the lot size would be going from the standard of 10,000 square feet to 42,000 square feet is the minimum. And so that's the first one. Again, those two are typically granted with most PUDs. And then the next variation that they're asking for is the max height. And this is a little bit more particular. They want it to be measured differently than we measure it currently in our code. So they're requesting that height be measured from finished grade at any point along the front elevation of each unit and not from the established grade as written in our code. So what does that mean? It means if you look at these diagrams here, at these elevations here, they're requesting that you would measure the height from, so if we look at that bottom left depiction there. You'd be measuring it from the bottom of that unit there to the midpoint of the roof, and then on the left-hand side, you would measure it from that where the driveway is up to the midpoint of the roof. So normally we would have a slope line like that. That's how we would measure it, and it would be measured from the established grade, which is basically the grade of the land as it sits today. And so they're saying after we flatten the land, put in the pavement, we're requesting that the height be measured from the driveway, essentially, to the top.
Excuse me.
Okay, so that's their second variation. And then finally, they're requesting flat roofs be approved for the townhomes in the Fox Hollow Neighborhood 4. And that if that is approved, that a height exception of 41, or maximum height of 41.6 inches be allowed. So that summarizes what we have from staff. The developer is here tonight, and they've also prepared their own presentation. So I think they've sent that to Gina, and she can pull that up. And do you guys want to come up here, come up to this chair here? Yeah.
Okay. And if the applicant would, I'm having trouble with the, please announce your, state your name and where you're from, your address.
Yeah, David Crockett, Pulte Group. We are at, I'll just say 40 North State Street. That's the secondary address that I've got in my memory right there in Salt Lake City. Thank you. First of all, I'm delighted to be here. This is our first time as a company. We're making a market entrance into Utah. And this particular project is one of our very first ones that we're pursuing. And we're delighted that it's here in the city of Saratoga Springs. Pulte Group started 75 years ago by a gentleman named Bill Pulte, built his first home in Michigan. And from very humble beginnings, that company has grown, propelled by a great reputation to be the third largest public home builder in the country. And so we're really excited. I hope this is the first of many occasions that I get to come here and address this great group here. So if we could go to the, do I control
I think you
this?
can just click on that right there.
Right there, and it goes to the next one.
Just go to the next slide.
There we go, perfect. So there was a previously approved concept plan on this site, and I just wanted to kind of connect the dots between the and so as you look at this plan, you can see that there's commercial on the bottom, that there's townhomes there in the blue, and then the yellow are the single-family detached lots. There's also an amenity space there with, a playground and a pavilion, a pool, and some bathrooms. And so we tried to match this almost identically, but to fit our product. And so you'll see that in our site plan, the same general configuration is there, the same park amenity, identical number of townhomes, and identical number of single-family lots. We've tried to design this to be a little bit more responsive to the terrain that's out there. There's a lot of slope on this property. It falls about 70 feet from Swainston down to the that property border with a commercial site there. But still at that 308 units. And one of the other things is, as was mentioned before, the master development agreement. The Fifth Amendment establishes that 136 units for the townhomes. Again, we're just meeting that. We're actually, as was mentioned before, building under the total approved. There's approved at 335 maximum units total overall, and we're at 308. So we're a little bit under that density. And then we're using the same setbacks that were also approved in the MDA. We're proposing three separate styles or three separate series is what we call them of products. We have a 30-foot wide house, a 40-foot wide house, and a 50-foot wide house. And there'll be 3 or 4 plans in each of those product lineups. These plans have been submitted together with our townhomes to the village's HOA ARC committee, working with Jason over there, planning as we're doing the design, making sure that that's out there early on so we're getting feedback, trying and intending to design and meet all the standards of their design guidelines as we go through that process. So that has been initiated, and that dialogue is going back and forth, including these townhomes. We have, what we're intending is the base case is this sloped roof, because that's what is allowed currently. This city does not want flat roofs. We have, what we're intending is the base case is this sloped roof, because that's what is allowed currently. This city does not want flat roofs